Yes, you are not going to render this house into this kindergarten thing that you think is worth it. I ruled on your motion, on your notice of a motion. I'm going to be patient, honorable member. I said, and this table will attest, I said I will be advised on that, but take your seat, ma'am, or vacate this house. No, you will either take and respect this house, take your seat. I think we have respected you enough, ma'am.
On something that needs to be done today.
Honorable Matheus, I'm not coming back to you tomorrow. I have ruled on this matter. Firstly, sit down. Sit down. I am addressing you. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Any member who is being addressed in this house sits down. You are quoting rules, but even the simplest of rules, you either do not understand or you choose not to know, or you choose not to respect. Firstly, we called for notices of motions. Using the platform of a notice of a motion, you stand up and you asked for a debate to take place today. You said 81 or 78? 81. You use a motion, a notice of a motion, to smuggle in a motion which deals with privilege. An urgent motion of privilege concerning, an urgent motion directly concerning the privileges of the council takes precedence over the motions of the other days. I then rule and say that you are asking that this motion be tabled, be debated today. Under the guise of notices of motions. I say that to you because there is precedence in this house. Motions of privilege also are covered by requests. They are also not taken in the time when other motions are already in motion. Rule 78 deals with notices of motions. And in fact, this is where we are. I do not think that the honorable member can choose because the other people are at a particular time. Choose a motion that she superimposes on the House simply because, in her own thinking, the matter is urgent. I do not also think that the honorable member has read Rule 78.3, Rule 78.2. You have. Then you are well answered, ma'am. We are proceeding with the business of the day. Honorable Matheus, you will either allow us to continue with our business, you will also allow this house to do its business with the dignity it needs? Or you will withdraw from this house? Then you are going to allow us to do our business. Please continue. Honorable Member, you will be given the opportunity to start your motion all over.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I hereby move without notice that this council notes and congratulates the appointment of Mr. Vuma Glinton Mashinini as the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa's chairperson. Also notes that the position has been vacant since the former chair, Pensi Kakula, resigned in the end of September last year, and that it came at an opportune time as the institution was preparing for the 2016 local government election and would help strengthen the IEC governance structures. Further notes that Mr. Mashini served as the IEC Deputy Chief Electoral Officer from 1998 to 2001, where he was responsible for the establishment and the administration of the National Head Office, all 9 provinces, electoral offices, and approximately 350 municipal electoral offices. Therefore, wishes him well in discharging his national duties. I so move.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Groenewald.
Thank you, Chairperson. Mine is without notice. I haven't got
Okay, we are still at notices of motions. The Honorable Mpambo.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move the following motion with notice that this House notes that the Northern Cape ANC Chair and Finance MEC, John Block, was found guilty of corruption, fraud, and money laundering by the Kimberley High Court. Furthermore, that the House debates the consideration of implementation of policy by government that prohibits any person found guilty of corruption and related crimes from holding public office, and that this policy includes appropriate action in this regard. I so move, Chairperson. I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honorable Ntebe.
Thank you, Chair. I have been adequately covered.
Thank you. Honorable members, order. We now wish to give you the opportunity to move for motions without notice. The Honorable Khai.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. On behalf of the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that the Council notes and welcome resignation of the Eastern Cape DA member of Provincial Legislature, Nogonwaba Matiginga, who has decided to join the ANC in the Mount Elif region of the Eastern Cape, the revolutionary movement of her great-grandfathers. Also note that her joining ANC was also followed by about 200 DA members who realized that DA is really not their political home as the poor people in South Africa. Further note that Ms. Matiginga chose to sacrifice her position as a member of provincial legislature that could have given her some comfortable life than to stay in a party where black people have a slim chance of making it into the DA leadership. If they are uneducated, and if they do not have driver's license, and if they are not computer literate and unable to write media releases. And also knows that this is also supported by the leader of DA in the Eastern Cape, Mr. Trolley, that when they joined the party, she had no experience at all, could not write media statement, and had no car, and therefore demonstrate that DA is a party that caters for the rich bourgeoisie, but not the poor, and cannot eradicate racist practices. Therefore, welcome them to realize that the
Honorable
ANC...
Khai, your time has expired. Order. Is there any objection to the motion? There is objection to the motion. The Honorable Muhai.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hereby move without notice that the Council notes with congratulations that the President of the Republic of South Africa has announced a newly appointed National Planning Commission, and knows that the Commission is comprised of 24 part-time external commissioners, a chairperson and a deputy, appointed on the basis of their specialist skills and expertise. Further knows that the newly appointed commission includes Minister in the Presidency, Jeff Radebe, and Professor Malekapuru William Makgoba as chairperson and deputy respectively. Also knows that the commission would also be charged with facilitating stakeholder engagements aimed at forging social compact towards more effective implementation of the National Development Plan, to take a cross-cutting view, undertake research in the long-term trends, analyze the implementation of short to medium-term plans with a view to recommend improvements to government, as well as produce reports to inform policy and planning. I here move, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you. Sir, for the motion, is there any objection to this motion? None. The motion is carried. We move on to the Honorable Mateis.
These mics. Thank you so much, Chairperson. I rise on behalf of the Economic Freedom Fighters to move without notice that the Council note the dangerous and undemocratic terrain in which the ANC government, with the support of the DA, the Parliament of South Africa, has been turned into a militarizing space that embodies the spirit of freedom of speech. Further notes that yesterday, scenes were reminiscent of the apartheid violence was seen here in Parliament, where there was ANC intolerance, arrogance, and incapacity to listen to the voices in society that demonstrated when members of Parliament were kicked out merely for warning the National Assembly
Is that
that
a point of order,
ignoring the
Ms.
cries
Mutara?
of students for affordable
Honorable
education
Mateis?
would
Honorable Mateis, there is a point of order.
Chair, on a point of order, the rule does not allow for a motion to be repeated in substance in the preceding 6 months. That motion has been tabled.
Thank you. I'll continue. Thank you, Chair. On point 3, acknowledges the actions of the parliamentary bouncers and the South African Police Service, and the violence kicking students out of Parliament is something Verwoerd can be proud of. Further acknowledges that the demands of students who are demanding fees must fall, is the most noble struggle waged by young people post-1994. Calls on the presiding officers of Parliament to provide leadership and stop being trigger-happy bullies. Further calls on the President to fire the Minister of Education for not implementing the resolutions of his own party for free quality education. Further calls on the President himself to resign for laughing while the country was burning yesterday.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Mutara, you rose on a point of order. Order, members. You rose on a point of order. You were right, but that motion was raised, the same motion was read at the point of notices of motion, and this time it is without. So technically, it's the same thing, but not the same thing, Honorable Dlamini. I now want to put that motion. Is there any objection to that motion? Order, members. Order. The motion has been disallowed. But in that motion, the Honorable Mateis also has an interesting choice of phrases. She calls on the presiding officers of Parliament as trigger happy. And she also says they are bullies. That is disparaging, and that cannot be allowed. Firstly, it is not even factual. So I am going to ask you, Honorable Mateis, to withdraw those.
Chair, I'm not going to withdraw that. We're happy to give a substantial motion to support what we've just said. Parliament, we're quite happy for that to happen too.
Honorable Mateis, you are alleging that the presiding officers of Parliament are bullies. You are alleging that the presiding officers of Parliament are trigger happy. You now say you will not withdraw those statements. If you are sure that you are not withdrawing the statement, these two statements you have made, I have no choice but to ask you to leave this chamber. Honorable Mateis. Order. Honorable Mateis. Honorable Mateis, you are ordered to leave this chamber. Honorable Mateis. Honorable Mateis, you have used disparaging words. You have disrupted this house several times. You are asked, instructed to leave this chamber. Otherwise, you leave me with no option but to ask the usher to help you out. Usher. Okay. Honorable Mateis, I am informed that you are refusing. You leave me with no choice but to call on Parliament's protective services to help the usher to remove you from this house. We move on, honorable members. We have the Honorable Julius.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move the following motion without notice that this House, Chairperson, can you protect me from?
You are protected, Honorable Julius. What are they doing to you? Please take your seat a bit. Order, members. Honorable Julius, as you were interrupted, you will start all over. You are also protected from whoever was harassing you at that time.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move the following motion without notice that this House wishes the grade 12 matric learners of 2015 well in their upcoming final examinations. The learners are reminded that the quality of their results will determine the opportunities made available to them after matric, and we encourage them to put everything into their studies as matric is a stepping stone towards their careers. I so move.
Thank you, sir. Is there any objection to this motion? No. The Honorable Campbell.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move the following motion without notice, that this House congratulates the Springbok rugby team in their 23-19 win in the quarterfinal rugby match in the Rugby World Cup event against Wales. That their next match will be in the semi-finals against New Zealand, the so-called All Blacks, on Saturday, the 24th of October. That as a nation, we want them to know we are supporting them and that they must believe in themselves and that they are able to beat the All Blacks to be one of the two teams in the final match. I so move.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Is there any objection to this motion? Thank you. We progress to the Honourable Groenewald.
Thank you, Chairperson. My motion was dealt with.
Thank you, meneer. The Honourable Tumbi.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the ANC, I hereby move without notice that the Council notes with utmost concern the failure of the Premier of the Western Cape, Premier Helen Zille, from hiring black, colored, or Indian women in top management in her department. Further notes that the department of the Premier of the Western Cape is largely led by white Afrikaner males who were shipped from the Free State and other parts of the country to take control of the administration of the government of the Western Cape, while the DA stands in podiums professing equal opportunity and calling for colored communities in the Western Cape to assist it to retain the city of Cape Town. Further notes that when presenting her department's annual report, the Department of Premier acknowledged that in senior management level, out of 63 staffs, 10 were colored women, 8 white with 1 African, and 1 Indian woman being employed in the department, and takes this opportunity to condemn in the harshest terms the failure of the DA to employ black, colored, or Indian women in top management in various departments in the Western Cape, and their systematic attempts to introduce apartheid practices that seeks to exclude the majority of our people from senior management positions. I so move, Chairperson.
Thank you, sir. Is there any objection to this motion? There is objection, members. The Honorable Labaskachny.
Thank you, Chair. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move the following motion without notice that this House congratulates the Western Cape Department of Transport and Public Works on the new Karl Bremer office block in Bellville, Cape Town, which is the first project to achieve a socio-economic category pilot rating in the world, awarded by the Green Building Council of South Africa as part of its 5-star Green 5-star SA rating achieved at the same time. I so move.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any objection to this motion? There is objection. The Honorable De Beer.
Chairperson, my motion has been covered.
You were covered. Honorable Esak.
Thank you for the opportunity, Honorable Chairperson. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move without notice that this House notes that South Africa cannot currently afford the medium-term budget policy statement 2015, with some 8.4 million of the working population being unemployed. The consolidated budget deficit is now projected to be around 162 billion in 2015-2016 financial years. Economic conditions remain grim, with growth projections to be further revised downwards to 1.5% in 2015-2016 financial years. This government must admit that state-owned enterprises such as SAA and Eskom bailouts are bleeding the fiscus. We need to seriously start incentivizing the private sector if we are to get this country back to its feet. And in conclusion, Chairperson, under an ANC-led government, debt has continuously ballooned and is now projected to be 1.98 trillion rand, approximately 47.3% of GDP in 2015-2016. I so move. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, sir. Is there any objection to this motion? There is objection. The last on my list is the...
Sorry, Chairperson. I just wanted to say you can see Honorable Kathy Dlamini is back in the House.
Honorable Mpambo Shibukwane, you are next.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move the following motion without notice that this House notes the sad passing of pedestrians during the collapse of the Greystone pedestrian bridge on the M1 highway in Gauteng province. Also, that the Council conveys its deepest condolences to the families affected and to all the victims and the community at large in Gauteng province. I so move, Chairperson.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any objection to this motion? None. The Honorable Zwane.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that Council notes with profound sadness the death of Mvuzo Mbebe, who was the Chief Executive Officer of the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations and Executive of the SABC, and served as Secretary General of the Supreme Council for Sport in Africa. Council further notes that Mvuzo Mbebe, who died after a long battle with cancer of the colon, is one of the illustrious soccer administrators who have worked tirelessly as champion of sport in our country. And finally, that Council takes this opportunity to convey its profound condolences to the Mbebe family and wishes them strength in these trying times. I'll so move.
Thank you, ma'am, for the motion. Is there any objection to this motion? Honorable members, that is the end of our motions without notice. I shall then ask the Secretary to read the first order of the day.
Consideration of National Council of Provinces Provincial Week Report, 14 to 18 September 2015, advancing infrastructure investment and development for better services to communities.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honorable Chikunga, Deputy Minister, Transport.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the National Council of Provinces, officials of the Department of Transport and other departments that are present here, ladies and gentlemen. This debate, which is themed Advancing Infrastructure Investment and Development for Better Services to Communities, takes place during the 60th celebration of the adoption of the Freedom Charter in Kliptown, Soweto. The African National Congress declared 2015 the year of the Freedom Charter and unity in action to advance economic freedom. In our quest to implement and entrench the values of the Freedom Charter, we are, as the Department of Transport, currently celebrating our annual October Transport Month campaign. The campaign has brought unprecedented levels of success in showcasing transport achievements and governance of the transport sector. It has brought together our people, all spheres of government, and the transport industry to support the growth and the improvement of transport networks across the country. But most importantly, it has brought development and service delivery to our communities across the country. In his State of the Nation address in 2012, His Excellency the President, Mr. Jacob Zuma, announced the establishment of the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission. The aim of the PICC is to respond to plan and coordinate a national infrastructure plan. The projects of the PICC's National Infrastructure Plan under the construction are roughly worth 1 trillion rand and employ more than 200,000 workers on projects such as power plants, roads, port development, rolling stock, increased rail capacity, bus route systems, schools, hospitals, infrastructure build, and universities and training colleges, water pipelines, housing, and sanitation. The African National Congress government remains committed in the provision of quality education to our nation. The PICC interventions have resulted in the building of the Solplaatje and Mpumalanga University in the Northern Cape and Mpumalanga provinces, respectively. Enrollment of students to these new institutions and other existing centers remain critical because education is the cure to poverty, inequality, and other social ills. We remain resolute that a lasting solution would be found in the ongoing concerns about the high tuition fees in South African universities and tertiary institutions. As government, working together with our South African people, we are committed to finding a sustainable solution to strengthen students' financing further. And in South Africa, education and skills development account for the largest share of spending, as indeed it was announced by the minister even yesterday. Through the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission, honorable members, we are driving the largest infrastructure investment program in South Africa, in the South African history and on the continent of Africa. Through the 18 strategic integrated projects, which we refer to as SIPs, we are now driving industrialization, manufacturing components to support infrastructure, skills development, and looking into innovative funding mechanisms to increase job creation, support Black industrialists, and look for more work and business opportunities for our young people. Over the past year, a number of hospitals, schools, roads, clinics, renewable energy plants, and other infrastructure programs have been built, creating skills and jobs at a time of weak global economic growth. government has announced that more than 800 billion rand will be spent by public sector alone in 3 years. Transport and logistics make up more than 40% of this investment, since this is how we improve and strengthen how we connect people to work, students to colleges and universities, raw materials such as coal to power plants, liquid fuels from Durban to Johannesburg, commodities such as iron ore and magnesium to our ports, and moving cargo such as fruits for exports or components from ports to our factories for assembly. This is how we are supporting jobs. We are striving to connect schools and universities with access to the internet, and today some of our buses in the cities provide free Wi-Fi with many other available public Wi-Fi hotspots in cities to facilitate access. Whilst we have connected more buses with electricity, houses, as a matter of fact, with electricity in our young democracy than what has ever been achieved in the history of this country, we know that this is still not enough. We will continue to focus our efforts on building more infrastructure in an effective manner to support balanced economic development, address service delivery backlogs, increase our energy supply, and provide access to water. Since the enactment of the National Development Plan last year, we have made solid strides progressing regulatory approvals. Working closely with Minister Mokonyane and Minister Molewa, more than 21 water use licenses and 51 environmental approvals have been approved to support the National Infrastructure Plan. While we are bringing new energy and water plants into the system, the PICC is also focusing on the maintenance of aging infrastructure and more effective operations of current infrastructure. From importing public transport vehicles, honorable members, previously, we now have factories which have already assembled more than 36,000 taxis and 1,000 buses. More than 470 locomotives and 15,000 wagons have been manufactured locally. We are now focusing on components for the energy sector, water sector, and broadband rollout. The Minister of Economic Development, Honorable Patel, announced in his budget speech that the Industrial Development Corporation will support the development of infrastructure, and 23 billion rand has been allocated to support black industrialists. We have made great strides regarding the implementation of the integrated rapid public transport system. This is driven by the ANC government's public transport strategy. The main thrust of the strategy is to turn around the country's public transport system in two folds. One, the implementation of the integrated rapid public transport networks, focusing on the high-quality public transport networks, integrating all modes and bus rapid transit corridors in 12 major cities. And two, the accelerated modal upgrading to transform the bus, taxi, and rail fleet in the short to medium term. An investment of 25 billion rand has been made in the integrated rapid public transport networks concept that is currently being implemented in Johannesburg, Cape Town, Tshwane, Nelson Mandela Bay, Buffalo City, Mangaung, eThekwini, Polokwane, Mbombela, Rustenburg, Pietermaritzburg, and Ekurhuleni in various stages. Some of the achievements in this regard include, among others, the continued rollout of the integrated public transport networks in Johannesburg in the form of Rea Vaya, Go George in George, Ipongoletu in Nelson Mandela Bay. The My City in Cape Town is of course already operational with the current expansion of the rapid bus services to Khayelitsha and Mitchell's Plain. The ANC-led government has also facilitated the procurement of over 1,000 buses in 6 cities. It has also built over 120 kilometers of dedicated lanes and nearly 100 bus stations. Currently, the system is transporting an average of 100,000 passengers on weekdays for both Cape Town and Johannesburg. With additional cities beginning to operate, the numbers are expected to double to 200,000 by 2016 and 300,000 by 2018. An additional breakthrough resulting from the IRPTN projects is the inclusion of the current minibus operators and drivers in the formal public transport service provision. Government has created a viable solution for urban minibus operators to become formal contracted network companies. To date, 8 companies of former minibus owners have been set up in the cities. By end of 2015, the program will have incorporated the owners and drivers of nearly 2,000 minibuses into public transport networks and an additional 300,000 minibuses by 2019. The ANC government has since 2006 scrapped over 60,000 old taxis, and about 4 billion rand scrapping allowance has been paid to taxi operators. This is part of the process renewing the taxi fleet as envisaged in the public transport strategy by replacing old and unsafe taxi vehicles with the new taxis that meet all the safety specifications such as rollover bars and seat belts. The taxi industry is the most important part of the public transport system. According to the 2030 National Travel Survey conducted by Statistics South Africa, taxis are the preferred type of transport. They transport 69.7%, an increase from 59% from the previous travel survey. So the taxi industry moves 69.7% of 55.4 million passengers on a daily basis. The ANC and its government will continue working closely as we do with industry to forge unity, regulate and professionalize the industry. As our unwavering commitment to the 2014 elections manifesto, we will work with the taxi industry to facilitate their participation in the total transport value chain, for example, in the fuel value chain, spares, assembling, and manufacturing. I'm pleased to announce that Cabinet recently approved the National Learner Transport Policy for the country. The aim of this policy is to further professionalize the learner transport industry and bring a conducive regulatory framework in the transport of our children to and from school. Provinces will develop their customized implementation plans to realize the objectives of this policy and also bring better services to our communities. The passenger rail also continues to be the backbone of the country's public transport system, carrying more than 1.2 million commuters daily and 550 million passenger trips annually. Some of the biggest passenger rail achievements include the success of and plans to expand the 40 billion rand integrated Gautrain rapid rail link, which was implemented in 2010. Government continues to invest 1 billion rand per annum as a subsidy in the service. Its patronage has increased from the humble beginnings of 118,000 passengers to a current 43,000 passengers daily. Plans are afoot to expand this service to areas that were initially excluded. Honorable members, the recapitalization of the passenger rail has also been a major achievement, including fleet renewal program and the overhaul of the rail infrastructure. An unprecedented 53 billion rand was approved by Cabinet for the acquisition of the new rolling stock over the next 10 years, which will create over 60,000 jobs. Through this investment, PRASA will acquire 1,350 new coaches in the next 3 years. The first test train will reach South Africa before the end of this financial year. The first 20 trains manufactured in Brazil will be delivered by the end of 2016. An investment of 3.5 billion rand is also being made for the acquisition of 20 new long-distance and 50 metro service locomotives, and 13 of the locomotives have already been delivered, with a further 15 to be received during 2016. Gibela Consortium has also embarked on the process of constructing a local factory for the assembly and production of the new rolling stock in the long term. The factory, as I think members are aware, will be built in Nigel in Ekurhuleni, Gauteng, and is expected to open its doors in July 2016. PRASA will also spend 5.8 billion rands over the next 3 years on a general overhaul or refurbishment of old rolling stock. It is also important to state that in the past financial year, the renewal programs resulted in the refurbishment of 291 Metro Rail and 298 Shosholoza mail coaches. I'm also pleased to announce that the road challenges currently experienced in the infamous and notorious R573 Moloto Road will be a thing of the past. A rail transport system will be built from KwaMhlanga to the city of Tshwane to support the movement of the approximately 38,000 daily commuters. The project has now been registered as a public-private partnership. Political and project committees have been established to drive the implementation of this project. The Moloto Road will now be managed by SANRAL as part of its non-toll portfolio for upgrade and safety improvements. The finance minister yesterday announced a budget allocation for this road. Honorable members, the massive socio-economic growth that we have experienced in the last 21 years has had a massive impact on our road network. Our roads have developed from 540,000 kilometers in early 90s to a current 750,000 kilometers. We also have 153,519 kilometer paved roads, 259 kilometers gravel roads, and 140,000 kilometers or unproclaimed roads. This significant change has resulted in the state doubling its road infrastructure investment in the past 2 decades. In total, over the past decades, more than 300 billion rand has been invested on South Africa's road infrastructure. This has improved accessibility and helped to eradicate the legacy of apartheid and social exclusion of our poor communities. Equally, there has been increased demand of road construction and maintenance, demanding us to think deep as South Africa on how, as a country, we must fund our road infrastructure network. Chairperson, even in the current medium-term strategic framework of 2014-2019, we shall continue to expand our road network. Some of the projects we have planned for the current period are as follows. One is N2 Wild Coast Highway, N1, N2 Winelands, the BS Pass route, which will reduce the Durban-Gauteng corridor by 17 kilometers, thereby cutting off the costly and dangerous Van Rieenen Pass. We will spend about 11 billion rand on SANRAL's non-toll roads portfolio for maintenance, refurbishment, and upgrade. We will also continue to implement our flagship rural road maintenance initiatives, Samba Sonke program, which has created over 60,000 jobs over the past 2 years. In 2015, we will invest over 9 billion rand in this program, and over 60,000 jobs will be created. Honorable members, the freight industry is far too important to our country for the government to ignore its strategic responsibilities. It is for this reason that we are committed in our responsibility to create a right environment to build a safe, efficient transport infrastructure that can support a competitive South African economy. During this current medium-term strategic framework period of 2014-2019, the ANC government will be implementing the following interventions. Firstly, we are developing an integrated national transport master plan that will enhance economic growth and respond to sector plans that rely on transport for competitiveness. Secondly, we are developing an integrated freight corridor plan, which is part of the Durban Free State Gauteng logistic and industrial corridor to help expand the coal line to Richards Bay. Thirdly, finally, we are also finalizing the road freight strategy in line with the priorities of the National Development Plan. The strategy will assist the Department of Transport to shift 2% per annum of the goods from the road back to rail in the current MTSF period. Honorable members, our national airports particularly those that are managed by our Airports Company of South Africa, have experienced massive growth and investment in the recent past. As a matter of fact, Jan Smart, if he was to wake up today, he will not realize the OR Tambo that was once named after his name. These investments have injected much needed stimulus in the growth of our country's economy. Our department is currently developing the National Airports Development Plan. The aim of this plan is position the role of our provincial and regional airports in the socio-economic development of the country. Some of the airports will include Bulembu, Mthatha, just to mention but a few. As I conclude, honorable members, as the ANC government, we remain resolute that public participation is important and a cornerstone in the advancement of infrastructure and development for better services to our communities. We therefore reaffirm our commitment that was made in 1955 in Kliptown by the Congress of the People that the people shall govern.
Your time
I
has
thank you,
expired.
Chairperson.
Thank you. The Honorable Julius.
Indeed, thank you, Chairperson. Honorable members and the public at large, you know, Minister, Deputy Minister, one can never look at infrastructure without looking at the impact of it on economic development. And for our economy to develop, people will get jobs. And if we're still sitting without a huge unemployment figure in this country, it means we didn't do our jobs in terms of infrastructure. If you go back, it's a cycle, Deputy Minister. So please acknowledge that. You know, it's good sometimes to say that, listen, we are now, we did this, and we can now go back. We acknowledge the imbalances of the past. And we need to redress the imbalances of the past, Deputy Minister. But we also need to recognize our failures for the past 21 years. We need to recognize those failures. What did we do to develop our infrastructure and ultimately create jobs for our people? That is precisely a chairperson yesterday, last night, because of the happenings of today in our country. One of the person said yesterday that in one of the programs, a political analyst, he mentioned something of the fruit of the root. And what we saw yesterday, because infrastructure failed, we couldn't create jobs. And our people are poor because of that in this past 21 years. I'm not singling out only that. I'm saying we had imbalances of the past, but recognize this also. And that is a direct implication of what we did. That's a consequence of this failing government. We could not create an environment that can create jobs, and that's why our people cannot pay for their children to go to universities now. And we need to recognize that. That is the root or the fruit of our root. Chairperson, the National Infrastructure Plan in 2012 has at its aim to transform our economic landscape while simultaneously create significant numbers of new jobs and strengthening delivery of services. The aim of this provincial week was to look at progress made in infrastructure development in all 9 provinces and assess our investment for better delivery of services in this regard. Although 3 years is not enough to make a conclusive assessment, we have seen how certain provinces, through political will and good management, in particular the DA in the Western Cape, have accelerated in meeting the goals and delivering beyond these goals to create infrastructure that benefits the poor and create jobs to grow this economy. Honorable Chair, due to the fact that most of the oversight areas visited by the NCP delegates during this provincial week were cherry-picked by the ANC leadership for praise singing and political mileage, we overlooked our oversight role of problem solving and to provide legislative guidance. Being redundant and even appearing irrelevant is a disservice to those who elected us and is a waste of money in itself. Let us not deny what really went on during this facade called Provincial Week. There was a clear lack of coordination between NCOP and the provincial legislatures, which led to confusion on their roles and responsibility in planning this week. I think less time should be spent for presentations in boardrooms and more time must be spent on actual oversight on the site itself. Have we forgotten our responsibility as NCO members in Parliament, Chairperson? It is worrying that most MECs do not attend these oversight visits. I can only presume that they do not care or that this is not a priority. In the Free State, for instance, only one head of department was present and no MECs availed themselves during this week. This is seriously hampering the work of the members charged with the responsibility to do proper oversight. As always, the ANC has already come to focus on small and insignificant achievements. But what has become the hallmark of the leadership and time in government, they failed to highlight the challenges faced in the rolling out of infrastructure programs in all 9 provinces. Deputy Minister, you had an opportunity to say what's wrong in Prasa. You only say what is good in Prasa. You know what is wrong. Big trains, small what, I don't know. Chairperson, let's look at here some truths that you can now swallow. Corruption and slow progress in rolling out of infrastructure projects are
Honorable
actually
Julius, there is
going...
a point of order. Honorable... Yes, yes.
No, thanks,
There is a
Honorable
point of order.
Chair.
Your turn.
Yeah, you must sit down and stop pointing fingers.
You must address me and not the honorable member.
Thanks, I withdraw, Honorable Chair. I'm just...
The point of order, sir.
Yes, I just wanted to, it's not a point of order, I just want to establish if the honorable member is prepared to take a question.
Honorable Julius, are you prepared to take a question?
Chairperson, I don't want to embarrass the member because I know he doesn't have, he just wants to disturb me. No, I am not prepared, Chair.
He is not prepared, sir. Continue, Honorable Julius.
Thank you, Chairperson. I noticed that about 15 seconds is already gone from my time, Chair. Can we just
Honorable,
corruption and slow...
Your 15 seconds, can we have the 15 seconds back, please?
I Chair.
Yes, please continue.
Corruption and slow progress, Chairperson, in rolling out of infrastructure projects are actually going against the aim of the National Infrastructure Plan. Corruption is taking away opportunities for growth in our economy, creation of much-needed jobs, and the strengthening of delivery of basic services to our communities out there. In fact, the Built Environment Professions Grouping, BEPs, stated earlier this year that the barrier to infrastructure delivery lies in the lack of transparency during the allocation of professional services and tenders. If we took our role of doing oversight in all 9 provinces seriously, Chairperson, we would have assessed the progress in infrastructure programs that are in serious need of intervention too, not only cherry-pick the ones that we want a feel-good story for the ANC. People see it. You can't hide it. The ANC do not know how to manage infrastructure projects, period. When will it stop that when we discuss or debate projects, we do not have to mention corruption, lack of planning, and a failure of these initiatives to the public? When is it going to stop? Because you also mentioned it. You also mentioned it. In fact, it was the highlight of your breakaway last week. I don't know what to call it. Where is the transparency, Chairperson, with the current nuclear deal, Taspin Eastern Cape? There's no transparency. Billions of taxpayers' rents are being squandered without a whiff of accountability and report on decisions being made and progress. Why hasn't the Free State not gone into any contractual deals to build proper flush toilets over the past 6 years? Talk about delivery of services. The Centurion Aerospace Village in Gauteng has been paid for, but yet no development has taken place. 65 million rand has been spent on bulk earthworks, but yet nothing is on site. Mention this, Deputy Minister. Chairperson, the ANC cannot say that they are serious about transforming our economy, creating jobs, and fight the scourge of unemployment and corruption and poverty, if we allow corruption and slow delivery in our infrastructure build programs. The fact is, unemployment has risen from 31.7% to almost 35%. This means that 1.7 million more South Africans are without jobs than 5 years ago. But we are building infrastructure that must create jobs. The Democratic Alliance have and always will fight relentlessly to end corruption in government because it is not fair. It is taking away opportunities from all South Africans, especially our poor people that must send their children to universities, and robbing us from hard-earned freedom. Honorable Chair, it is not a crime for the ANC to admit defeat. I suggest that you do it before corruption becomes inherent in this previously proud liberation movement. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Honorable Mukotla.
The Deputy Minister, honorable members, honorable special delegates, I greet you. The NCOP Provincial Week took place from the 14th through 18th September 2015. And in the Free State, the NCOP delegation, together with a delegation from the legislature, undertook visits to projects in the Thabo Mofutsenyane district in the Eastern Free State. The delegation visited the Diatalawa Agricultural Village, the Thabo Mofutsenyane Secure Care Center and One-Stop Child Center, the Kwakwa Veterinary Clinic, and the Herem Smith Vehicle Testing Station. A public meeting was also held at the Diatalawa Agricultural Village. The delegation previously visited the Diatalawa Agricultural Village during the Provincial Week in September 2014. And the purpose of this visit was to check on the progress made with issues that were raised by the beneficiaries of the project. Chairperson, some of the progress made at the projects are as follows. The dairy project was not able to sustain itself because feed for cattle was sourced from outside. However, grass plantation is currently taking place in order to produce feed. Proper vaccination protocols for cattle are in place. 60 Holstein cattle will be delivered to the farm by the end of November 2015. And milk produced at the dairy is now being sold to Nestle. The delegation made the following observations at the project. Due to a lack of funding, the dairy project and surrounding area are not being kept hygiene. The milk tanks on site are too big for the amount of milk being produced. Milk at times turns sour while waiting for the tanks to be filled. Beneficiaries of the project have been sent for training to acquire the relevant skills, but they lack the knowledge of implementing the skills gained. There is a general lack of teamwork amongst beneficiaries, and this prevents the dairy from being successful. Honorable Chairperson, based on these observations, the following recommendations were made in order to ensure the success of the project. That the Department of Agriculture must assist the dairy project beneficiaries to acquire smaller tanks for the storage of milk. A dairy manager with the relevant skills needs to be employed to assist the beneficiaries with the management of the dairy project. The mentor and the Department of Agriculture must jointly submit a comprehensive report outlining a proper assessment of the needs of the dairy, challenges and recommendations that would assist in making the project sustainable. They should further address challenges as they occur and not delay. That continuous training to beneficiaries must be provided by the Department of Agriculture until such time that beneficiaries are sufficiently equipped to run a successful project on their own. The department should mobilize resources to address the hygienic challenges at the dairy project. The Department of Agriculture must also assist the beneficiaries to establish marketing partners who can further give guidance. Chairperson, the delegation also had a public hearing at Didiatalangwa with farming communities in the surrounding areas. The following concerns were raised at the hearing. Many of the communities requested the delegation to assist with water and electricity supply as well as provision to housing. The community hall has been vandalized because since its completion it has never been opened or utilized. There is a lack of security personnel to protect the community assets. The community requested that a police station be built in the village to mitigate the prevalence of gangsterism. The delegation made the following recommendations based on the concerns raised. That all service delivery concerns be attended to by the Thabo Mofutshanyana District Municipality in consultation with the relevant provincial and national departments of roads and transport, water, sanitation, agriculture, as well as ESCOM. That all concerns raised regarding the lack of provision of housing be referred to the Office of the MEC of Cooperative Governance, Traditional Affairs and Human Settlement. The community should form neighborhood watches and CPF forums to protect and discuss better safekeeping of the assets of the community. And the community must hold the councillors accountable to call meetings at least once a quarter where they can raise their concerns and follow up on issues raised. Chairperson, the delegation, as I mentioned, also conducted an oversight visit to the Thabo Mofutshanyana Secure Center and One-Stop Child's Justice Center in Kwakwa. The center was built in 2007. The center is experiencing the following challenges. One is that vacant positions for child and youth care workers as well as social workers, positions deemed core functions that will qualify the center for functionality are vacant. The service provider for catering has not yet been appointed. However, the bid process to appoint was in process. Shortage of state-owned vehicles, subs did not have vehicles allocated to them. The developmental care, rehabilitation, and recreational programs has not been budgeted for in the current financial year 2015-2016. The organizational structure was not aligned to the national blueprint on norms and standards for secure care centers. And the delegation made the following recommendations based on the challenges raised. The Department of Social Development should assist the management of Thabo Mofutshanyana Secure Care Center to improve its planning and budgeting to take into consideration the fact that it services the entire province and therefore must be able to handle possible pressures. The Department of Public Works must assist the center with better implementation of the project to avoid further cost escalations. That the Department of Social Development and the management of the care center should fast-track the recruitment of personnel since the successful implementation of the center and delivery of services hinges predominantly on the availability of relevant staff. The Thabo Mofutshanyana care management should prioritize the provision of social services and ensure that the center is fully operational and optimal. In order to augment the rehabilitation budget, the negotiations with sitters for additional money should be fast-tracked. And given the current economical conditions, the fact that the Free State Provincial Treasury has already indicated that the center will not get any additional money and the challenges with acquiring the vehicles, the center should prioritize in terms of the real extreme needs to find its fleet acquisition plan. And the management of Thabo Mofutshanyana Care Center must provide a breakdown of the budget spent thus far as well as timeframes for completion of process underway. Chairperson, the delegation also conducted a site visit at the Harrismith Testing Center. The center is situated on the border of KwaZulu-Natal and the Free State provinces. It serves two critical routes, namely N3 and N5, in terms of traffic law enforcement routes. The delegation there observed the following: that the management of the center has set aside 10 million for procurement of an office finisher. However, the budget breakdown could not be provided. Out of 5 LCU test operators, only 2 are functional and 3 were not utilized. There is a drive-through collection point for the depositing of money, a filing area which has not been demarcated properly, and a learner's license classroom which operates manually. At the time of the visit, testing of vehicles could not be done pending accreditation by the South African Bureau of Standards. As the management of the center presented to the committee, there were no chairs at the waiting area for clients, no impounding area for the storage of impounded vehicles, no biometrics for access control entry, no alarm system, and most offices did not have office finisher and were not utilized. Based on these observations, the following recommendations were made. The LCU section must be prioritized as a matter of agency. The center must prioritize security for safekeeping of its assets, particularly the filing room and the finance revenue collection office. The finance office needs control assets since it is isolated from other offices. The MEC of Police, Roads and Transport must give the Harrismith Center accreditation as a matter of agency, and the center must procure computerized machines to ensure that the learner licensing center becomes efficient and fully functional. Lastly, Chairperson, the delegation visited the Kokwa Veterinary Clinic. Phase 1 of the Kokwa Veterinary Clinic was initiated in the 2013-14 financial year and was financed with a budget of 4 million for the construction of a new vet clinic building, renovation of the vet quarters, and renovation of the office block and paving. The second phase of the project will be to...
Please watch your clock. You are rounding up. Your time has expired.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, ma'am.
These are the observations at the veterinary clinic. The clinic was not completely finished. Butler bars at some doors were still being installed. Veterinary services are provided to the entire Free State province through Kwakwa and Tabanchu Veterinary Clinic, 5 mobile and 5 prefab clinics. The Department of Agriculture was awaiting the 10 4x2 double caps to increase coverage to the rural areas. The operational funds at the Kokwa Clinic do not sufficiently cover compensation for mileage claims for technical officers who must collect samples across the province and render services.
Your time has expired, ma'am.
I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Kaula.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Deputy Minister, the KZN NCOP delegation visited the district municipalities of Zululand and Umkanyagute for the Provincial Week of 14 to 18 September 2015. Due to time constraints in respect of preparations, I can only say that for future provincial weeks, we need to plan better and make logistical arrangements much better than we did for this provincial week. Honorable Chairperson, like I reported in the previous debate of the provincial week, KwaZulu-Natal is still suffering continuously from the drought that is hitting the province all over. The situation has become even worse than when we last met. The situation has deteriorated to the extent that of maybe deserving declarations to the disaster status in some parts of the province, especially the uppermost north and the lowermost south of the province. The province has become very dry. The IFP is appealing for more attention from government in this respect. Some concerns were raised by the municipalities in Zululand in our engagements with them. The sanitation in Ulundi has reached capacity, and this is stalling development. The Department of Human Settlements has provided houses in some wards in Ulundi. These cannot be occupied because of sanitation incapacitation. No more development can take place in Ulundi town because of sanitation incapacitation. This is a matter that needs the urgent attention of both the Department of Water and Sanitation and the Zululand District Municipality. Both of them are the authorities of government which are entrusted with sanitation, and they must not fail the people of Ulundi. What is ironical, Honorable Chairperson, is that the Department of Water and Sanitation appeared before the Social Services Select Committee last week. From its reports, the department is underspending on its budget in all areas, yet people need these services on the ground. The municipality of Edumbe also raised the same issues pertaining to sanitation. The municipality of Upongolo also raised the similar concerns pertaining to sanitation. The municipality of Nongoma also raised the same concerns. On behalf of all these areas, the IFP calls government to action. I normally hear people referring to the Honorable Minister of Water and Sanitation as Mama Action being her nickname. To the contrary, I do not see any action. Therefore, Mama Action, please act. The delegation also visited Osut Water Scheme. This is a bulk water project by the Zululand district, co-funded by both ZDM and Water Affairs. Whilst the project is a good idea, planning appeared to have been extremely poor. The report of how much has been spent so far in the project from the three role players has huge contradictions. The consultants have a figure of 321 million. The Department of Water and Sanitation has a figure of 203 million. Zululand District Municipality has a figure of 552 million. We ended up not knowing as Parliament as to which figure to take as an official figure. The project is still far away from completion. It started in 2005. Whilst focusing on this bulk water project, the district municipality also wants to start a project of a dam costing 700 million rands. There needs to be a follow-up of forensic investigations in spending patterns in that district. We visited roads upgrading projects by the Department of Transport in Nongoma. From the questions asked, it appeared that the Department of Transport KZN is spending between 8 to 13 million per kilometer on average to upgrade the roads in Nongoma. This is another area that needs forensic follow-ups investigations. We visited a class of projects by government in Ndumo area in Umkanyagute. These are good projects. These projects are a good copycat of what Umntwana kaPhindangene did when he started townships with the erstwhile KwaZulu government in townships like Ulundi, Mandeni, Zakheni, Matadeni, Eskaweni, and others. Projects were clustered like this by Umntwana in order to spring out development. Long live the development legacy of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Isikhathi siyaphoxa sihlalo. Kodwa
Iphelile baba, uyazi nawe.
ngiphoxekile nje sekela lika ngqongqoshe uma ukhuluma ngeproject yasebhongo lwethu. Hawu icorruption engaka kodwa bese uyayincoma engathi ningenza okunye ngiyathokoza.
Siyabonga baba uKhawula. The Honorable Mayitula.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members, Deputy Minister, Special Delegates. On behalf of Gauteng Government, under the leadership of Honorable Premier David Makura, the economic and social clusters, we express our profound gratitude for the opportunity to join this August House debate on advancing infrastructure investment and development for better services to communities. We also applaud the NCOP for affording us, Gauteng government, the legislature, and our citizens the opportunity to engage with honorable members on this subject in September 2015. Just Honorable Julius, we want to say that the delegation of NCOP in Gauteng was actually joined by very senior members of the legislature. The chair of chairs was there, the chairpersons of committees were there, and many of members of the legislature were there. As MECs, we take the NCOP week visits very seriously. And you know that even the Premier has actually participated in these NCOP weeks. So it is not correct to say that MECs do not take these NCOP visits very seriously. I thought I should correct that, Honorable Chairperson. Can we also have the information on the Centurion Aerospace project? I asked the leader of the delegation. She doesn't know about that project. It means you went out of the NCOP week visit and did your own visit. So please forward that information so that we can follow up on that Centurion Aerospace project. We are also concerned if it's a white elephant, it's not being used or it hasn't been completed. We note, Chairperson, the findings and recommendations of this NCOP week visit. in the spirit of advancing infrastructure investment and development. The National Development Plan identifies increased infrastructure investment as central to the equitable economic growth levels, employment creation. Honorable Julius, employment creation is vital. Skills development and social transformation. Infrastructure investment is a catalyst to sustainable socio-economic development, and it has a potential to improve the quality of life of our people in a most fundamental way. Infrastructure investment has a central role in delivering our radical socio-economic transformation, modernization, and reindustrialization, which is in line with the National Development Plan. It is in this context that infrastructure development has remained one of the key priorities of the African National Congress government. During the past 5 years, up to now, the Gauteng government has invested on social infrastructure projects, which include, for example, 470 education projects for our learners in the province, such as 130 new schools, school fencing projects, restorative repairs of 267 old schools, 1,079 grade R classrooms for our little ones, development and education, ablution facilities and septic tanks. We have recently initiated Smart Classrooms of the Future in Gauteng, a project that has been received very, very well by the learners of Gauteng. And we want to roll out that project to all the schools by the end of the term of office. We have rolled out Wi-Fi hotspots in public spaces, as the Honorable Minister was saying. Even in a taxi, when you travel from Soweto to town, we are able to access internet just from a taxi. And 100 of our schools have access to clean water. 99% of our schools also have access to electricity. 100% have access to sanitation. However, we still need to address some of the problematic areas with regard to some school sanitation. We have built 4 new state-of-the-art hospitals, including the Tele Mohorane Hospital in Vosloorus and Begimlangeni Hospital in Jablane, and the 2 other hospitals in the Tshwane area. We have upgraded and renovated 38 health facilities. We've built about 139,000 houses and provided 69,000 service stands for our people. We initiated 50 green doors for abused women and children and community youth centers for orphans, as well as sports, arts, heritage projects. These are just a few projects on social infrastructure investment that we have provided. And of course, from all these infrastructure projects, Honorable Chair, there has been thousands and thousands of jobs that have been created for our people. Skills development has taken place. Our people have participated in terms of being contractors and being subcontractors as part of the township economy revitalization in these projects. So there is positive impact coming out of the infrastructure investment in our province. We also invested in economic infrastructure projects, such as what the minister was talking about, the kilometers of roads in Gauteng. There's been 44.5 kilometers of roads that have been put together, improved maintenance of provincial roads, established new driver license testing centers for our young ones, intermodal facilities, 68 kilometers of non-motorized transport lanes. We have also invested on the Bioscience Park for the young entrepreneurs, the township enterprise hubs, also for the township entrepreneurs to do business with our province, automotive learning centers to revitalize the township economy. To contribute to improved environmental management, we upgraded, refurbished, and rehabilitated our 7 nature reserves. We also implemented the information communications technology infrastructure. This huge infrastructure investment share is indeed bettering the lives of our people, who are also benefiting from local procurement, employment opportunities, skills development. However, due to ever-growing population as a result of in-migration and urbanization, there's a lot of pressure for increased infrastructure investment. We also need to undertake a proper impact analysis of this infrastructure investment. We were only able to really put together this assessment of 5-year infrastructure investment over the Lekgotla in the past week. So the Premier has indicated that we should be able to do a proper impact analysis on the infrastructure investment. Over these 5 years, we invested 46.4 billion rands on the above-mentioned infrastructure. In the process, we experienced challenges of under-expenditure. We do talk about challenges, Honorable Julius. We don't hide challenges. We're the first ones to say these are the problems we are encountering as we deliver services and infrastructure. Under-expenditure due to poor supply chain systems, the lack of paying our subcontractors and contractors within 30 days, poor project management capacity, poor stakeholder engagement, delays in project completion, cost escalation, poor relationships between departments and municipalities, poor performance by some of the service providers, and corrupt practices. But we do take action. With all these challenges that we are identifying, we have already taken action against those that are doing these things. To address these challenges also, and to increase infrastructure investment, to improve service delivery, we have developed and introduced Infrastructure Development Management System, IDMS, approved by the National Treasury. This system is helping us to articulate uniform processes for departments in planning, in budgeting, in procurement, in implementation, in reporting, in monitoring and evaluation of our infrastructure investment. There has been a lot of improvement in infrastructure delivery and maintenance as a result of the introduction of IDMS. Honorable Chair, consequently, Gauteng's economy has grown due to this infrastructure investment. It has grown consistently over these years, above the national average, reaching 1.7% in 2014, with our 1 trillion provincial economy contributing 34% of our Gauteng GDP to our country and accounting for 10% to Africa's GDP. However, indeed, due to 300 years of underdevelopment, Honorable Julius, under racist nationalist government, the black majority of our citizens indeed continue to bear the brunt of inequality, of unemployment and poverty, in spite of a lot of progress that has been made by the African National Congress-led government. We estimate that we will require 1.3 trillion rands for the social and economic infrastructure investment, and we are mobilizing support for the private sector to invest in our 5 economic corridors as it has been outlined by the Gauteng government. During 2015, we held the first infrastructure investment conference for alternative funding of our economic infrastructure projects, including the Kopanong Government Precinct, that is the seat of government, the rooftop solar panels and tri-generation plant, which are part of the alternative energy generation programs of the province, the jewelry manufacturing precinct, and 2 more innovation hubs. There was a very positive response from the private sector investors who are now waiting for us to participate in development of the infrastructure. Together with municipalities, as Gauteng City Region, we have identified other game changers, including the township economy revitalization, creation of new industries, of new cities, mega human settlements. We no longer want just to build 20 RDP houses there, 50 there, but we are going to build mega human settlements, e-government, Gautrain extension and expansion, the BRT expansion as well, as it has been cited by the minister, the Erythropolis in Eguruleni area, the corridors of freedom in Joburg, African Development Gateway, Lanseria Airport in the West Rand. And Chair, we believe that we are on the right track, and we are very grateful for the NCOP to give us this opportunity. I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honorable Fraser.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Deputy Minister, honorable members, I greet you all. Thank you very much for this opportunity afforded to me to participate in this debate, which seeks to look at visits made during the NCOP week in Zululand and Umkhanyakude, Madam Chair, which is the deepest rural areas in KZN. Infrastructure in KZN has been and is still growing in a very tremendous way. It is also one of the key measures in terms of changing lives of our people, more especially in rural areas. Hence, those honorable members who were with us during that week can attest that KZN is growing and economically is even growing
more. We are a province at work, and we are working very hard. Due to new projects, roads, state-of-the-art commercial and government building structures, we have witnessed a number of people's lives changing for better. Improvements of lifestyle to some because of job creation and opportunities which led to poverty alleviation, moving towards the total eradication of poverty. And of course, we have witnessed a radical transformation in terms of economy. These infrastructure facilities are aimed at uplifting the communities around them. Interestingly, Madam Chair, even the neighboring countries, like in a case of Umhlabialingana, you'll find that countries like Swaziland is also getting empowered because the movement is becoming better, and we believe that our Africanism dream is going to be realized because it will be easy to move. Amongst these projects, there is Indumo project. This initiative of KZN is a very beautiful initiative which produced a school which is the state of art. Indeed, we believe that by building this school, the doors of learning and culture are opened. We have also witnessed the upgrading of existing facilities such as clinics, hospitals, libraries, and other government facilities. Those members who were with us, as Honorable Kaula confirmed it, they were very much impressed with the work which is done by Public Works in KZN. We therefore thank them, and we are proud to have officials like them. Again, Madam Chair, the province in KZN has also injected over R1 billion, which is being used in roads constructions. We are talking about projects like P435, D1841, D1851, and many more projects that are happening. But again, I think it's critical to inform this House, Madam Chair, that when we are talking about Umhlabuyalingana and Zululand, we are not talking about an easy road to build. So the issues of the environment are also involved. So I believe that Honorable Kaula was just talking because we have been given minutes, but all in all, it's not like building a road in Gauteng or in Western Cape where you just... So we therefore thank the Department of Transport for the work well done, and of course, Siyaqhuba eKZN kakhulu. We are working very, very hard, and we appreciate the role that is played by our officials in the Department of Transport, Department of Public Works, COLTA, Deputy Minister. They are doing very, very well. It is profound and important to note the good work that is happening in KZN in terms of infrastructure development, especially in Zululand and Umkhanyakude. But again, Madam Chair, I think it's critical that we also mention areas where we feel that there are still challenges, like in a case of Zululand, when we talk about there's a project there also to Nongoma Water. Honorable Kaula has mentioned it. We were very much disappointed as the team because we found that even the officials themselves are not aware of how much is used or how much they have. I therefore appeal to the district and the political party which is leading that district to ensure that they oversee and don't fail the people of KZN, because there's a lot of money which has been put there. And of course, in the case of Ulundi, we have learned that they are not getting enough support from that particular district led by the other party, of course, not the ANC. So I'm appealing to them to ensure that baba faile abantu baba nikeza amanzi ayikubantu. And of course it's the NFP. Okay. And Madam Chair, we were also very much disappointed because we found that even in terms of empowerment, people are not getting empowered. The skills, they are not getting trained, yet if you've noticed the amount of money given there, it's too much. The province continues, Madam Chair, to look at the zoning certain parts of the province for improvement in terms of residential areas and also for attracting the foreigners for business purposes. We therefore again thank the role that is played by the departments like culture, human settlements, and others. And of course, we also acknowledge the role that is played by SALGA in KZN and culture, whereby we were made to understand that there have been sessions that has been going on, whereby they were empowering the district municipality and also the local municipalities. They were assisting them a lot. Madam Chair, to be honest, I focused more on these two areas. Otherwise, in KZN, there's a lot of action that is happening. Siyaqhuba kakhulu, and if I can start reporting on that, it will mean I'll take your whole day. Madam Chair, as we conclude, we are inspired by the wise words of Frantz Fanon when he said, I quote, "What matters is not to know the world, but to change it," unquote. I therefore saying, as the African National Congress leading the KwaZulu-Natal province, we are working very hard and we appreciate the visits that are done by NCOP in our province. And of course, we support them. I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honorable Appeal.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you very much. The Deputy Minister, Honorable MECs present, if any honorable members of the NCOP, fellow delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Madume Shiao. Honorable Chairperson, while we are debating Provincial Week report, it will be aloof to ignore the student activism emerging in number of our higher institutions. However, we appreciate the efforts made by our ANC-led government through Honorable Dr. Blade Nzimande by engaging all the vice-chancellors of all higher institutions with sole purpose of resolving these impasses. Honorable Chairperson, we are of the view that the commitment shown by the Honorable Minister are in line with the ANC election manifesto of prioritizing education as one of the key priority areas in terms of our 2014 election manifesto, as well as the National Development Plan. By doing so, we will comprehend the essences expressed by our former President Nelson Mandela when he said, I open quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," close quote. The National Development Plan highlights the importance of infrastructure investment in meeting the social and economic objectives of the country. The NDP Honorable Chairperson advised that South Africa needs to invest in a strong network of economic infrastructure designed to support the country's medium and long-term economic and social objectives. This economic infrastructure is a precondition for providing basic services. Honorable Chair, I feel very much honored and privileged to participate in this very important debate in this August chamber and make an input on the report of the Provincial Week, which was held very recently across the country with a special focus on infrastructure investment and development. Let me hasten to say that the Provincial Week program is a mechanism that provides the delegates of this Honorable House an opportunity to interact with their provincial counterparts and to obtain fresh mandate in a quest to ensure that the needs and aspirations of the provinces are properly articulated and addressed to improve the lives of the people. The recent Provincial Week has indeed, Honorable Chair, offered us the window of opportunity to meet the provincial leadership, such as, Honorable Chair, the Executive Council, led by the Premier, Honorable Matavate, and other key stakeholders, as well as visiting some of the infrastructure service delivery points and projects to assess the success and challenges faced by the province. Honorable Chair, it is a pleasure for me to inform this Honorable House that the Limpopo province has made some great strides in infrastructure investment and development in an endeavor to address the challenges relating to water supply, road health, and economic development. It is, however, important to note that Rome was not built in a day, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that this government will indeed change the lives of the people for the better. It is hoped that, Honorable Chair, the light that we see at the end of this tunnel is not that of an oncoming train that is coming to crash all the successes we have made. Honorable Chair, the Provincial Week did not only look at new projects, but also focused on making a follow-up to previously visited projects and service delivery points to assess the state of progress since the last Provincial Week. And Honorable Chair, the ANC-led government through the 3 tiers of government is mandated to provide its people with basic infrastructure such as roads. Access to such infrastructure is considered as a basic human right, irrespective of where people live, their race, gender, or income level. Notwithstanding the progress made in some of these projects, more needs to be done, particularly on the Elim-Vlei-Fontaine Road and the Mahobaskloof Tea Estate, which stand out as projects with slow progress. However, we have mandated a provincial government to fast-track the tearing of the Elim-Vlei-Fontaine Road, which has passed the design stage as I speak. Honorable Chair, while we express our concern regarding the slow progress on this matter, but we are pleased to report to this august House that Road Agency Limpopo is committed to have the road construction completed by the end of November 2015, and the delegation will be kept informed on the progress in that matter. As for Mahobaskloof Tea Estate, which was a beacon of hope after having returned it to the Mahoba people in terms of the land restitution, it is lying fallow with a myriad of challenges. It is therefore requested that National, together with the provincial government, should intervene in this project. This project has the potential, Honorable Chair, to create more sustainable jobs as well as temporary jobs during harvesting season. The ANC-led government adopted National Infrastructure Plan with the aim of transforming our economic landscape while simultaneously creating significant number of new jobs and strengthen the delivery of basic services. Honorable Chair, the investment and development in infrastructure will have economic spin-offs for this country, as it will create the required job opportunities and sustainable jobs for our people, thus pushing back the frontiers of poverty. It was very interesting to learn that one of the beneficiaries of a toilet facility delivered by the government of the day did not want to use it because it was so beautiful that it was reserved for very important guests. This shows how appreciative our people are when their lives and dignity are being changed for the better. Honorable Chair, the NDP makes significant recommendations on how to grow the economy in a structured and integrated manner. with achievable targets of eliminating poverty and reducing inequality. Mining as a strategic sector and a significant economic user of infrastructure in line with practices from other mining communities around the world should contribute fairly to the development of infrastructure for economic use. Limpopo Province, Honorable Chair, has several mining houses that are contributing to the economic development of the province. However, there are several challenges relating to beneficiation and social responsibilities of these mining houses in the areas that they are mining. The province has seen several protests which sometimes turn into violence. The protests related to job opportunities. While it is understood that communities have a right to protest, we despise violent protest and damage to property. Honorable Chair, as I conclude, allow me to clearly indicate without reservation that the Provincial Week program in our province was an overwhelming success. It gave the delegates an opportunity to see for themselves the success and challenges that the province is faced with, and hope that they will be able to articulate this in this House very well on behalf of the province. I therefore, Honorable Chair, on behalf of the province, support the Provincial Week report that we have submitted and hope that all the commitments and intervention strategies that the provincial government made during the program will be implemented to the latter, and that those that required national intervention will be taken up by this honorable House. Motlhomphegi, mosepediša modiro, go gamola tšee a se go itamolla. I thank you.
Ra leboga. The Honorable Masilo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, to our Deputy Minister, and the members of this House, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, comrades and friends. Allow me, on behalf of the province, just to present the important report of the NCOP week that took place during the week of the 14th to the 18th September 2015 in Nkangala, Mpumalanga. Honorable Chair, we decided just to report as a province on what the visit of the NCOP took. I must, however, indicate we had about 8 MECs, including the Deputy Speaker and all members of the provincial legislature that attended that. Therefore, confirms that how serious the province is in taking the NCOP. And members of the, they can attest from the TA seated there. Indeed, Honorable Chair, the focus was based on the infrastructure investment and the development, including challenges experienced. Indeed, infrastructure investment lies at the heart of the stimulation fiscal package of our government and is pivotal to the National Development Plan, the NDP, as the new growth path. Honorable Chair, I must indicate with a degree of authority that the ANC-led government is led from the perspective of placing the people at the center of their development. I must further emphasize that significant progress has been made so far. Indeed, we take cognizance of the issues that were raised during our 2014 National Elections Manifesto of the ANC. Indeed, delegates were briefed on the municipal infrastructure grant of our municipalities, including the expenditures of our municipalities. In the Nkangala municipalities, the whole 7 municipalities were made to present the report through the MEC of Kokta. And I must indicate in this regard, Honorable Chairperson, that the municipalities such as Emakazeni, Steve Chwete, Dr. J.S. Moroka municipalities spent 100% of their budget of the MIG at the end of the financial year, June 2015. Dr. J.S. Moroka and Steve Chwete municipalities, for having done that good job, in March 2015, were further given an extra amount of money as per the assessment of the national and provincial treasury. That present that our municipalities are in course and does understand that the money given, they must spend it as such. The provincial government and the district municipalities prioritize water and sanitation. It is a fact that in Tembisile municipality, there is no water sources. The municipalities found itself where it's situated today because apartheid just dumped them there in the past with no source of water. They depend solely to the Tswani and Rand Water and Dr. J.S. Moroka to get water. What a poor municipality is. In all fairness, water infrastructure is being installed in terms of the infrastructure. You go around Tembisile, you'll find each and every street there is an infrastructure, there is a tap water. At other streets, the water can't come out because they don't have sufficient water in that area. There is as well a standing RDP standard of taps that are installed in the informal settlement. In Malahlen in particular, where we have for too many informal settlement, there is some standing pipe of water and people does access water in that regard. However, our challenges remains on the sanitation in our areas, which is a matter of concern. As the ANC government, we have made this acknowledgement, and at all costs, we are doing our best to address this backlog. In terms of the roads and stormwater, the delegation was highly briefed about the coal haulage, road rehabilitation and repair program. Indeed, the program is aimed at monitoring the road network for the easy supply of coal to Eskom power stations in the province. As we all know that Mpumalanga is indeed the power of electricity. We are taking care of the areas where the power stations are. As we report in that meetings, it was given that to build a tar road, you need almost 9 to 11 million per kilometer, depending the line and the culverts of the area. That suggests it's so expensive to construct a tire road of a good quality. In this regard, the department did engage a number of the mines in our area to respond to this particular challenge, and we are happy they are coming on board in responding to some of these areas that we have mentioned. The road is undercoaled. The road whole college deliver coal at Arnold Power Station, and that road is called D139. That is between Hendrina and the power station, Arnold. That road requires almost 201 million, which is currently under construction and is fully funded by the Public Works as a province. The road between Middelburg and Wonderfontein, which is almost 21.7 kilometers, which in the main, that road is also under construction, and the following are being done. That is rehabilitating the pavement by strengthening the extra layer there, upgrading the intersection, widening bridge, improve water drainage, stone pitching, fencing of the area is currently underway. Of course, I must indicate, Honorable Chair, this project, which are so high, they don't go without any challenges. One of the key challenges is when the farmers are refusing our people to access the bureau pits in that area, despite they've been engaged. A matter in the main derails some service delivery in the areas, and later I'm not surprised when we get criticisms in that regard. In terms of the Moloto Rail Corridor, a presentation was made by Public Works, and we are quite pleased today to hear from the Deputy Minister that the project is on course and the good work is going. We as well welcome the transfer of this road to the National department and subsequently to Sandra. However, we must record that we will not support the e-toll or any toll gate towards that particular road. Since the rail does not have the toll gate, Honorable Chair, we believe it's a major solution to our challenge. Our economic of that area is under attack, unemployment is high, poverty is growing. We believe very strong. If we build this infrastructure, we are to address the major problem that facing the municipalities of Tembisile and Dr. J.S. Moroka. Certainly, we are pleased that the Minister of Finance presented that report yesterday, and we are certain that in no long time, this project shall kickstart. As we have seen in other areas, the project of this nature have started. In terms of the human settlement, Emalahleni municipalities is one of the municipalities that is overcrowded because it's got number of mines. As people see number of storm, number of smoke growing that area, they see opportunities. I must indicate that as a province, we have put almost 12,000 houses as an integrated housing settlement in that area. A very beautiful and well integrated with a nice infrastructure in the area that present a good progress in that regard. And we are certain that we'll achieve our objective as the NC government. In terms of the human infrastructure, there is one big sector that gets left off the list, and that is the human infrastructure investment. Our municipalities have created a mayoral bursary fund, which is in line of their needs to subsidize or to give our children bursary. That is an engineering section, artisan, electrical, quantity surveyor, finance, water laboratories, just to mention the few. As we do so, we are certain that our communities will benefit and want to support as well that our children must be given this subsidy as our government is intending to do. We are certain as a province that our University of Mpumalanga that is currently under construction is going to address a number of challenges that the province has faced over a time. As has been quoted earlier, education is the only key of a success and is the only key to make a development of a country. Investing to the young people is like investing to the youth. Let me conclude, Honorable Chairperson, by quoting what Kwame Nkrumah said, one of the son of the swine. I quote, "I am not an African because I was born in Africa, but because Africa is born on me." Close quote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Khaling.
Honorable Chairperson Metandi Mudise, Deputy Minister Mechikunga, Acting Chief Whip Ntate B. Ntebe, honorable members of this August House and members of various legislature. From the onset, Honorable Chairperson, allow me to, for record purpose, to indicate that I'm not the chair of chairs, as stated in the speaker's list, but the chief whip of Northwest Legislature. As the Northwest, we appreciate the initiative by the NCOP and the visit by the honorable members of this House to province of Northwest, specifically to Kenneth Kaunda District Municipality. The Northwest Provincial Legislature welcomes all the initiatives that aim at enhancing oversight work and improve lives of our people. Across government, infrastructure remains one of the key challenges that require much attention. Among other contributing factors to infrastructure backlog is skill capacity and funding. However, we appreciate and acknowledge the commitment of our provincial government and other spheres of government to address these challenges. We must further acknowledge the massive investment by the ANC government towards infrastructure in line with the National Development Plan. The acting premier during the time of the visit of this house to the province indicated that the provincial infrastructure budget, including conditional grants, amount to 5.9 billion. And spending had started to increase and progress was also noted on projects. Through our oversight functions as the legislature, we continue to interact with the executive members responsible for infrastructure delivery to ensure value for money and adherence to plans adopted by the legislature. The provincial government, through Provincial Department of Finance and the Provincial Department of Public Works, Roads and Transport, had been in engagement with the development of Southern Africa for funding model that will address roads infrastructure, which was anticipated to take place in 3 months. Honorable members, challenges on municipal infrastructure grant spending is also of concern. As the legislature, we have continuously engaged the MEC responsible for the Department of Local Government, and we welcome initiatives done to support our municipalities. The Back to Basics strategy is expected to yield positive results in some areas where we have witnessed some challenges in local government. In fact, as oversight structures, we must ensure that we hold executive accountable for all plans and commitments that we pass in our legislatures. The provincial government has met with ESCOM to address electrification challenges in the province through the Premier Infrastructure Coordinating Council in Moses Kotane and other parts of the province. Through Stukutsane program, the provincial government has addressed many challenges in different municipalities, and our ongoing engagement with the executive led by the Premier has reaffirmed its commitment on the implementation of the Stukutsane program across all municipalities. The Stukutsane program, through its approach and the results within the short space of time, is indeed a good story to tell and the great achievement by our province. As the province, we have also recognized challenges relating to housing delivery and sewage. We must appreciate the commitment by the provincial government to address challenges faced by the Chwaing and the Chobotla local municipalities that relates to sewage and housing development. In addressing road infrastructure challenges, the provincial government and municipalities will continuously engage SANRAL and relevant stakeholders to explore and find new ways to accelerate roads infrastructure investment. We welcome and acknowledge discount rates announced by the Minister of Transport for the surrounding communities of Swartregen's toll gate. Honorable Chairperson, public protests are within constitutional rights of our citizens, but we must all condemn vandalism of public property and destroying the future of our kids. Learners must feel safe to go to school, use libraries and other facilities that government has made available to our communities. Burning and destroying of school will not be tolerated for whatever reason. If communities demonstrate, it must be a peaceful demonstration, and the government will attend to their grievances. With respect to Rehoboka Early Childhood Development Center, which is the facility established by the Provincial Department of Social Development with the aim, among others, to improve the quality and access to some form of early childhood development services in the province and to improve access to funding of the ECD programs. As the legislature, we have and will continue to engage the department responsible for this facility on the findings by this House during the visit to the province. Among other issues that require attention include lack of proper fencing, which explore our learners to risk or danger, lack of proper play facilities for the children, security on the premises of the school, overcrowding of kids because of high demand for the facility and new educational toys, furniture and adequate emergency medical kit for the learners. In fact, in our oversight function, we will make follow-up on the commitment by the Provincial Department of Social Development to procure fire extinguishers and toys for the facility, and the commitment by the Coroni Engineering Consultant to fence the facility. The NCOP in its visit observed that unemployment and poverty is amongst the serious challenges that continue to characterize our province despite government efforts to reduce these challenges. We must work together to address these challenges at all levels of government, and the private sector must also play its role and contribute in addressing the challenges. Challenges of access to government services, as raised in the public meeting of Matlosane local municipality, is a crucial point as indicated. The Sokotsana program aimed at bringing all government services to the people. The Premier made a commitment that this program will be rolled out across all districts of the province to change the lives of the people for the better. The safety of our citizens is a priority. SAPS must ensure that our communities are safe at all times. However, let's remind each other that it is the responsibility of all citizens to ensure that our country is safe and protected. I therefore encourage all community members to actively participate in policing structures such as CPF, street committees, and other structures. We appeal to the department to address issues of shortage of vehicles and continue to prioritize hotspot areas. Noting concerns of level of equality of service by the local police station, this is unacceptable, and the ANC government will not tolerate officials that are not performing their duties. South Africa belongs to all those who live in it, as we shall continue to protect our country at all costs. Better health for citizens is at the heart of the ANC government. Despite challenges experienced in the veteran hospital on upgrade for the new community, psychiatric unit and psychogeriatric unit, the initiative by the Department of Health in 2011 to house mental patients in community facilities to reduce the patients at Bophelong Hospital in Mahikeng is appreciated. At the time of reporting, this project was 95% complete, with minor work that had to be done. We are confident that the department will meet the deadline for the finalization of this project. Also, with respect to the Potchefstroom Inpatient Treatment Center, as the Northwest Province, we concur with the delegation findings and are confident that the new rehabilitation facility will be completed as per the report presented to the NCOP. The fifth government administration of the Northwest has prioritized agriculture amongst its pillar for economic growth. However, to enhance agriculture in the province will need water, and that will require proper water infrastructure. We know challenges highlighted on Ventersdorp bulk water supply, which includes strikes, communication between role players, etc. However, we will continue to engage the Department of Water and Sanitation as well as the municipality to ensure that this project meets the deadline and properly managed. In conclusion, Honorable Chairperson, as the legislature, we are confident that our provincial government is in the right track on addressing socio-economic challenges in the Northwest Province. As we celebrate the Freedom Charter, we must make sure that we change the lives of our people for the better. However, let's not forget our role as members of parliament or our respective legislature, which is to perform oversight over the executive. Furthermore, plans of the government are approved by us as parliament and various legislatures, which then becomes our plans. Together, we move South Africa forward. Struggle continues. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
The Honorable Esak.
I haven't even started, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, colleagues, fellow South Africans, debating the progress of infrastructure seems insignificant, considering that whilst we as members of parliament sit in this house, our country is literally burning. Let me tell you why. If it hasn't yet been mentioned or acknowledged in this house, our role as elected representatives to our public is to make careful decisions in the best interest of our people. When our responsibilities are elevated to that of a minister or a president, then our accountability towards our people becomes even greater. Let me explain why. At the heart of our politics, and now inherent to Zuma's ANC, is corruption. Corruption. Money that our government misappropriated from the mothers
Honorable Essek.
and fathers.
Honorable Essek, there's a point of order. Honorable Mtlashuping.
Chairperson, thanks very much. To my recollection of facts, if I remember quite well, we only have His Excellency, the Honorable Jacob Gedletlekisa Zuma. I'm not sure why Honorable Essek resorted to just calling him Zuma.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Essek. The honorable member says acknowledge that Honorable Zuma is president.
Okay, for the sake of the debate,
Of this
President
country.
Zuma, can we move on?
Thank you
Honorable
very
Chair?
much.
At the heart of our politics and now inherent to President Zuma's ANC is corruption. I repeat, corruption. Money that our government misappropriated from the mothers and fathers of those students who yesterday begged for a response from their elected leaders. Today, that corruption finds itself in every sphere of our government, with infrastructure representing one area of how the ANC is embroiled in enriching themselves at the expense of education, health, and service delivery, amongst other key government responsibilities. Honorable Mayatula Khoza, you were so kind enough to mention that infrastructure is key for the ANC. Why then do we have higher unemployment? There is, of course, a direct link between infrastructure and employment. If you still need to be educated, we can chat to you after the debate. Our job as parliamentarians should, Honorable Chair, not be to pat ourselves on the back when we have used public money entrusted to us to create an improved and more functional society. We do not necessarily need a reward in service, and we do not need to enrich ourselves as the ANC has done through their countless corrupt schemes disguised through infrastructure development. Let me put it in simple terms if we don't understand the fundamental issue with infrastructure. Now listen. Consider this. Business confidence is currently at our lowest level since the dawn of democracy. And businesses offer our people jobs. And these jobs are, of course, dependent on infrastructure development to allow businesses to then run effectively and progressively. We should not miss the link that job creation and business is vital to the growth of this economy. Honorable Chair, why do we risk this by lining our pockets as public servants? This is a question that the ANC in national government currently must and should answer to the electorate of this country. Yesterday, Minister Nene committed to infrastructure spending. Our country has continuously committed to this. Let us ask the big questions, Honorable Chair. The ANC has consistently been precarious with business partnerships, business-labor relations, management of missed budgets, etc. Let us not sit here today and use words without taking responsibility for them. In the spirit of freedom, fairness, and opportunity, we owe it to the people who elected us to serve. And we owe it to the students who made history yesterday on the 21st of October 2015. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Essek. The Honorable Mutara.
Honorable Chairperson of the Council, Mayor Tandi Modise, Deputy Minister of Transport, Honorable Shikunga, Honorable MECs present, special delegates from provincial legislatures, honorable members of the NCOP. At its annual celebration of the formation and birth of the ANC, the organization that celebrated 103 years of existence declared 2015 the year of the Freedom Charter and unity in action towards economic freedom. We declared in Cape Town, as South Africans from all walks of life did in Kliptown 60 years ago, and again declared at the NGC held earlier this month, that the ideals of the Freedom Charter remain the guiding principles to which the ANC will adhere to in order to achieve a prosperous and united society. Following extensive consultation, the NDP was also adopted as a basis for long-term planning, which will see the reduction of poverty and inequality and the increase of employment in our country. The NDP has noted that infrastructure is poorly located, inadequate, and under-maintained. During this provincial week, we undertook to measure and gauge the progress made in relation to the rollout of national infrastructure projects. The projects are supposed to impact directly on the lives of South Africans, be catalysts for economic growth, and ultimately allow the local government sphere of the state to provide basic service as is their constitutional obligation. Municipal infrastructure grants were introduced as a practical intervention towards the achievement of delivery of basic services in our communities. The MIG program is an integral part of providing municipal services. The provision of municipal services is in most cases dependent on infrastructure. Part of planning for municipal services is therefore planning for infrastructure. These services include the provision of road infrastructure, transport, electricity, water, and waste services. One of the most pressing issues is that where national departments are responsible for the spending of certain grants within their competencies, these projects take place in municipalities. We want to impress upon national departments that intend to roll out any projects of any kind that IDPs of municipalities must be taken into consideration first. As the NCOP, our mandate seeks to bring together the three spheres of government and to sharply raise issues provinces and municipalities face with the national departments responsible. There are vast improvements in the spending capacity of municipalities in relation to the rollout of infrastructure and compliance in relation to the rollout of infrastructure. National Treasury has made it their business to closely monitor the spending and compliance with the various public finance laws when releasing grant funds to other spheres of government. As the monitoring improves, so will the delivery of services, and ultimately, the lives of South Africans will greatly improve. This is what all of us collectively should be seeking to achieve. As long as a South African resides within the borders of our beautiful land, they are protected by the Constitution to receive basic services as a human right. Those services can and should not be hampered by borders of wards or municipalities. The spatial patterns of apartheid that sought to deliberately place the majority of our people far from families, far from economic opportunities, and disrupted the family as the nucleus of society must be broken down brick by brick. It must be dismantled until remnants of the effects of this societal construct cannot be seen. Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Julius makes the assertion, not for the first time, that Provincial Week is used as a feel-good exercise by the ANC. He misleads the House by saying sites were identified by ANC members and leaders. He misleads the House by saying that sites were identified by ANC members and leaders. One of the sites that we visited as a Gauteng delegation was identified by none other than the Honorable Julius himself. Unless, of course, he is joining his Eastern Cape counterparts and his membership must still be processed. But really, to say that we go to cherry-picked and feel-good projects is not only false, but almost nullifies national government efforts to stop the effects of acid mine drainage on the water table as a whole. The stench that nauseated all of us, the millions of liters of water that needs to be retreated to stop a national crisis from occurring, cannot by any figment of one's imagination be classified as feel-good. We wish to take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the 9 provinces who we owe our mandated responsibility to for once again affording us an opportunity to engage with the legislatures and executive members. Steadily, we are working towards an integrated way of delivering services to our people. We look forward to fruitful future engagements of this nature as we advance the vision of the Freedom Charter in creating a non-racial, non-sexist, prosperous society united in our diversity. I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honorable Ngasela.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable members, I can also confirm that the NCOP visit week that was conducted between the 14th and the 18th of September was a success. In the Western Cape, where I'm coming from, I'm comfortable to say that the contributions that came from members, and primarily the kind of visit that you conducted, did present a picture that indeed in this province we deliver services to all communities, and that indeed in this province we deliver services at the magnitude that which cannot be compared to any other province in this country. But I don't want to dwell on that, because we have some story to tell, which is called the Western Cape story. A story that brings hope, a story that brings opportunities to people of South Africa, a story that brings the meaning of freedom to the many people in this province, and of course the story that says all shall be treated fairly and the spirit of fairness shall exist. And I speak also in light of the evidence that we have seen that in this country young people are saying enough, and enough is enough. Free education for everybody that was promised since 1994. We can no longer talk about free education randomly and making speeches and slogans. It must be a principle that which we are all prepared and commit as a country if we are to grow. What that brings me to is the fact that today we are talking about infrastructure and advancement of infrastructure in order to have a complete realization of services. If we are to create an environment that is conducive in the implementation of the program of a service delivery, it means, therefore, we must start at school and ensure that young people are capacitated and that we are able to encourage them to study mathematics and science at a very young age, and ensure that we monitor that progressively up to high school and to tertiary level. That is why in this province we have got a Masaki Sizwe Youth Development Program, which is a bursary program that encourages young people to take engineering studies, to take regional planning and development studies, to take studies that will empower them in our resolve to ensure that we deliver a maximum infrastructure program that will be able to compete to the regional governments of everywhere else in the world. We must accept that in the general nature of a developing country like ours, we've got to compare ourselves to the world cities. It is not only by default that we're sitting and debating the infrastructure chair. Because, Honorable Chairperson, when we talk about infrastructure, we're talking about bringing services closer to where people live. That it should never be that people must work and live far from the places of comfort. They must be able to work in Kailicha and live in Kailicha and be able to go to school, if possible, in a very best service, in the very best school in Kailicha. We must be able to provide the best schools in Mitchell's Plain. We must be able to provide the best schools and the best infrastructure in Atlantis. And that is what this government of the Western Cape is doing. Of the program of ASIDI, the Western Cape said, yes, because we went to EST Refer, we've delivered that school within a year. and next year the learners will be going to that same school, because we're actually happy that we can say to the NCOP, thanks for visiting that school. And the other issue that is important, you are disturbing me. Honorable Chairperson of the ASIDI program, we have said ASIDI program is a good initiative that national government is implementing, and we're happy for that. But in terms of the norms and standard, I think we need to then say, how do we then lift the bar so that we create the kind of school that we need in the township, in the village, as the school that you'll find in the rich and leafy suburbs. But you can't have a situation where, when we have some budget, we say, no, we'll just implement their city regardless of the budget that we received. In the Western Cape, in the year under review, and in fact, in this current financial year as well, we have said we'll take this budget, but we'll have a match funding. And that then gives us enough resources to deliver the best schools. And that is what we are doing in this province. I'm talking about the Western Cape story. And the story that gives hope, that in fact, when you are going to a primary school and a high school, no more shall you sit in a school where you can't even have access to a library, access to, what do you call these things? A lab, a science lab. Thina sikhulanga kukho izinto ezikolweni. But ngoku makuthi xa usiya esikolweni umntana, noba unamali ungumzali, ungafumanisi into yobana umntana uzawuphila, akhule, afane nawe, angafumani imisebenzi xa yena sele mdala. Sithi ke ngoku masiqinisekise into yokuba kukhona a free Wi-Fi that we are busy implementing. It is one of the, we've got the game changers in this province. And we have done so, Chairperson, because what we believe in, energy must be one of the main game changers. And we have taken energy as a primary game changer. Education, we have said education is our game changer. Public transport, we have said it has got to be in the
Honorable
key.
members, you are drowning out the speaker. You are drowning out the speaker. Honorable members, you are all called to order. Please continue, honorable member.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you for protecting me. Let me highlight the importance of ICT. It is only in South Africa where, obviously when I say only in South Africa, it's an understatement, because we all know that South Africa is better compared to the other African states. But we must look at ourselves now as competing to the global community. Hence, we have to compare ourselves with the developing states elsewhere in the world. India, compare yourself to the Mediterranean cities, and you look at the European cities. When we compare ourselves to the other regional countries, and other regional governments, we look at ourselves and say, umntana osuka in any of the underprivileged school must have access to the best and the most efficient and quality service in terms of education, so that we're able to produce an engineer, a brain surgeon, a doctor, and in fact, educate people that will be able to say, I'm going to become a member of parliament, and one day I'll become a minister of education, a minister of transport, and a minister of science and technology, from a place like Atlantis, from a place like Kaelicha, and from a place like Worcester, in the sense of Western Cape. But it goes beyond that. It says that our planning and the way of the spatial development framework, we must talk to the municipalities and encourage them that it can't be a business as usual. When you plan, you must plan in such a way that we integrate our communities, and that is what we are doing with our triple P programs, which is public-private partnership. We've got a number of them. One of them is the Conradi precinct, where we are doing a number of initiatives to ensure that we deliver a very integrated human settlement. When you build houses, it should no longer be about just putting houses there and then there's no infrastructure, there's no schools, there's no places of work. And finally, you've got to ensure that skills and skills development is something that that gets to the center of our program. I must say that the Deputy Minister, I listened to you. And when you spoke, mentioning the question of Go George, My City, those are our flagship programs. And we're very happy that our partnership is paying off and that we're able to come and claim that, because really we pride ourselves with that, and that partnership is working, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Ngazela. Your time is up.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Khaila. Order. Honorable Khaila, you are on the podium.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I'm happy to
Honorable
take
Mpambo, there
part
is
in
a
this
speaker on the podium.
debate. Although numerous laws and policies intended to improve people's quality of life and promote economic and social transformation were introduced since the dawn of democracy, such have achieved mixed successes, and the people are still experiencing unemployment, poverty, and inequality. The negative effect, Chairperson, can you buy
Tatu Khaila, kaloku MPs are allowed to make some noise.
The negative effect of
I
the
fight
current
with them when
infrastructure.
they drown you. If they don't drown you, Nkosi yami,
They're drowning me.
you are protected, Tatu Khaila, against Honorable.
Bayahlupha mana abantu bakho. Rural infrastructure backlogs are a challenge and also inhibit economic and social inclusion in rural areas. In this regard, we propose that the House adopt a resolution on creation of a dedicated rural infrastructure development fund. Why do we say so? Kwezi ndawo besihamba kuzo, Chairperson, fakani izinani anisazi isiXhosa nini. Kwezi ndawo besihamba kuzo, the complaint was ubana the current MIG fund is not sufficient. It does not address previous backlogs ezenziwa ngabantu bangqolayo. So bayacela at least banakho le fund lena will be able to address that previous backlog. Secondly, isikakhulu you'd say deputy ministers as funds kwi-department, but yofumanisa ubana as funds they address certain provinces ezinye azifumani. There seems to be a country in super provinces. If you look at all the plans, you find there are provinces that are getting more than others. Now, if you go, for instance, to the Eastern Cape, you'll find that the roads are finished with Dorobzingan. Yes, Sanral, that they are going to build access roads and so and so and so and so and so, but ubani ungena ngaphakathi ingxaki ikhona inkulu. Okwesibini, ubana uye ezilalini mntakaRhayi, masithethe le nto iyinyani sekube sixoka. Phezilalini akho ndlela tu. You got a high rate of poverty. Sinengxaki. That is why we say as a UDM, makubekho ifund ekhoyo e-addressa infrastructure yezidorobhu zincane, okanye will never catch up with the problem that we have. Unfortunately, abanoyithetha bona bana in the ruling party bayoyika mnandi uyiki. So ke kukho loo ngxaki leyo, Chairperson, efuneka address ubana the infrastructure ekhoyo iyasibetha. You go through towns like Umtata, Dutya, Butterworth, kunzima, you take 2 hours uphumele edorophini. Indlela ziphelile. So that is why we say there must be a special fund, and this house must adopt that here. This house must adopt that special fund, address infrastructure.
Honorable Julius, are you on a point of order?
Oh.
You were just stretching. Are you on a point of order?
Yeah,
sir?
you need the stretches sometimes with these chairs, Chairperson, but actually the English translation is a problem on this, Chairperson, because you get both languages, English and the other language. Thank you.
Okay. Translation and interpretation, please. I don't know, they are pointing me elsewhere. Can we attend to the closer English translation and interpretation, please? Is it being attended to? I'm told it is. Honorable Lund, you are having a very good time, dear honorable member. Honorable Khaila, please continue. We will attend to it.
Yo, by a minute, younger chairperson. Whole minute. It's gone. I'm whole minute is gone.
We stopped the clock, Nkosi yami.
Kumzuzu wonke kodwa ma'am.
Tijongile.
Hayi before that uthethile uJulius labe lihamba ixesha. Belihamba ngeli xesha bethethe. The primary purpose is to address the inherent backlogs and bring back these communities into par with their urban counterparts to the extent that it is practically relevant to their rural social economic development priorities. The current municipal infrastructure grant is limited and favors urban municipalities. Investment in rural infrastructure should inform decisions on how, where to invest and towards the most deprived citizens. The provision of a rural infrastructure is an important agent in the reduction of poverty and exclusion, in strengthening social capital and providing conditions for improving provision. Rural infrastructure grants should be created, but we should mobilize the private sector as well. If you remember very well, in the past, ninabantu bangena ngokapha elizweni. Abelungu bebefaka imali onobhizinesi kukhule idorobhi, bancedise edorophini. Iphelele phi loo nto leyo nakungena abana abamnyama. Ndinceda wena sisa wazinto. Why a private sector cannot help ubana kudevelop ezi dorobhi? Because they benze ibhizinesi kwezi dorobhi ezino. Ekugqibeleni mntakarhayi noko ubhatyazile mandiyithethe inyani. Aba baseMount Olive abantu bathathwe yi-UDM. uDoro umthathe yedwa. Inkosi.
Inkosi Tata. Honorable members, we call on the Honorable Muhai.
Thanks very much, Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson, Mayor Thandi Modise, Deputy Minister. Let me start off by quoting a document of the ANC on the eve of the 1994 breakthrough. In 1992, the Ready to Govern document says, and I quote, "The quality of living of all South Africans rests on the infrastructure program, which will result in the cultivation of decent work opportunities and strengthen industrialization. It will address the legacy of segregation in education, health, welfare, transport and employment that result in deep socio-economic inequalities. The ANC strives for developmental state, which tries to develop all parts of the economy, that will ensure equal and quality access to healthcare, education, social security, roads, dams, telecommunication, transport, power stations, water, electricity, waste disposal, services to all." This statement the ANC made and committed itself that it will undo the legacy of apartheid rule. Its architecture was based on racism, white minority regime. Infrastructure was provided across the railway line. It was different conditions where majority of African majority lives. Therefore, this debate this afternoon is about the largest infrastructure investment ever seen in South African history. More importantly, this investment is being undertaken at a time of weak global economic growth. Opportunists avoid to raise this point, globally and domestically. This posture reaffirms the commitment made by the ANC in its policy conference, 52nd policy conference, that the state should continue to roll out state-led infrastructure investment programs that will promote strategic investment in productive and strategic activities. It is therefore a signal of our own confidence as South Africa and the ANC in the future of our own country and economy. I'm proud to stand here as a member of the ANC, that I'm proud of the future of our own country and the prospects, strides we are making to build the economy that serves all the people. Does the National Infrastructure Plan ought to continue to support strategic sectors of our economy and unlocking the bottlenecks in the transformation trajectory of our country. It presents an opportunity for us, the ANC, to implement the radical economic transformation through structural change of society. Chairperson, allow me to point out to the overall achievement of this infrastructure investment project. Among others, this infrastructure investment has supported more than 200,000 jobs. It has also provided a number of opportunities for South African-based factories to provide components of rolling stocks, such as buses, trains, trucks, taxis, that are all connected to the infrastructure plan. This is a point that the Deputy Minister has alluded. This is how we industrialize and create strong foundation for the economy. We stated very clear in the ANC that the quality of infrastructure, better management of infrastructure projects under the conditions of downsized economy, value for money, is key in the infrastructure provision. It's not us to hide whatever problems that may be associated with the delivery of infrastructure. The opposition parties, as usual, has focused on grandstanding, on political opportunism, and negatives. They did not focus in the essence of the debate that we're dealing with today. No program of major infrastructure anywhere in the world doesn't come without challenges. This will include, but not limited, I'm telling you, among other things that we're dealing with here, engineers that are helping us to construct projects here in South Africa are sourced from all over the world because of their expertise. Material is sourced not only in South Africa, all over the world. And how do you relate with those issues under the current global economic environment, upon which South Africa took a bold statement to say it will roll out infrastructure to ensure that the economy doesn't collapse, but it mitigates against the weakness of the economy. Some of the weaknesses that can be associated with these things are overspending or project delays. The point is to see the big picture, DA. We are today building the world's 4th largest and 5th largest coal power station, and at the same time building Africa's largest renewable energy fleet of solar and wind power plants. Today, many of you who took the podium opportunistically raised the issue, the legitimate issue of the student protest, which the ANC not only embraces in boardrooms, but the ANC take active struggles together with those students. The conditions they say are conditions that we share in the ANC. We are undoing the legacy of apartheid colonial rule. Let me tell you, the issue of exorbitant fee is not only even the issue of exorbitant fee, it's also about the issues about transformation of those institutions, institutional culture, racism that prevails. The intention is to disturb me because he feels the heat.
Honorable Muhai, there is a point of order. Honorable Esak.
Honorable Chairperson, if the Speaker's got
Honorable
the guts, will he
Muhai,
take a
please take your
question from
seat.
me, please?
I'm not a
Honorable
coward,
Muhai.
I can take
Only
that
chicken,
question,
talk to me.
Honorable
but let me
Muhai.
deal with
You are the chairperson.
Ah, take my question. have the
Honorable
guts, man.
Esak, address me.
Sorry, Honorable Chairperson, will the Speaker have the guts to take my question?
Honorable Esak, are you asking whether the Honorable Muhai will take your question?
Thank you, Honorable
The guts
Chair.
part we cut out.
I cut out the guts part. Let's see if he has the...
Honorable Muhai, are you willing to take a question?
yes, at the end of my statement, Chair.
At the end,
Okay.
my honorable member. Please take your seat, Honorable Esak. Honorable Muhai, please proceed.
Honorable Chair, I was making the point that the ANC acknowledges the urgency with which the matter of increase of fees, exorbitant fees, must be attended. And even the students of South Africa knows that it is the ANC that has got the history and the legitimacy to address their problems, as they demonstrated yesterday. Infrastructure is critical for local communities.
Honorable Muhai, there is another point of order. Honorable Julius. Honorable Julius, yes.
I'm just waiting for the mic. Chairperson, just can I also be in line for a question at the end? Can you ask the honorable member? I want to know whether he even attended the provincial week. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Muhai, will you be able to take a question? The Honorable Julius says at the end of your...
Once more, you operate on snippets. I didn't attend the provincial week. I was booked off sick. Whoever gave you that dossier gave you a wrong one.
Honorable Muhai, the question I put to you was whether you will take a question at the end. You were supposed to ignore all the other tidbits.
Well, thank you, Honorable Chair. My attitude to the DA is the same. They belong to one category, Honorable Chair. I can deal with them the same way.
Okay, please proceed.
Infrastructure is critical for local communities. It assists us to supply water and sanitation to all our people, to connect more South Africans to the electricity grid. I would like to take this opportunity to borrow from Minister of Economic Development, Honorable Patel, when he provided statistics in the National Assembly about this matter. The data shows the huge improvements made in the democratic era. As a case in point, while only 5.2 million households were connected to the grid at the start of our democracy in 1994, during the period of democracy, we added more than 7 million additional homes to the electricity grid, bringing the power of energy to more South Africans, transforming their lives in the process. Many amongst us are witness. We have seen townships going from candlelight places to residential areas where citizens can switch on light, moving from outdoor toilets to indoor toilets. A living example of this is through building proper houses for our people, massifying electricity infrastructure. This is an indication of the commitment of the ANC in dismantling the limitation to access by the legacy of segregation left by apartheid. Every day, we undo the legacy of apartheid colonial rule. This should be viewed as part of building the capacity of state to ensure effective service delivery across the country. As the NCOP, we want to commend this ANC-led government for the firm action it has taken against cartels and price fixing, or as I would call it, private sector corruption in the construction industry. You do not even highlight it because you collude. We have flushed the guilty out of the system and made them pay for overcharging the public. Have you forgotten so quickly the government stands in dealing with this? But what is not well known is that government, through the competition authorities, have also taken action against other colluders in the infrastructure supply industry.
Honorable Muhai, another point of order. Please take your seat, sir. Honorable Yesak.
Honorable Chair, through you, I insist that Honorable Muhai take my question. With your permission, Honorable Chair.
Honorable, order members. Honorable Yesak, you cannot insist. You have withdrawn. Honorable Muhai.
Chair, I was about to make this important point, that part of the issue at the heart of the delivery of public infrastructure, the investment of the state-led program, that has hindered progress that we make as a country, is around issues of cement and steel makers. This is a crucial point that billions of our country focuses on these industries. And I think we should be given an opportunity to debate these matters as members of this honorable house. Otherwise, members know that these are questions, captains of industries, that must be confronted for the state to succeed in rolling out the program of infrastructure provision. Maintenance of infrastructure must become a bigger focus in the next 4 years. I'm pleased that the mid-year National Cabinet Lekgotla, when it met with premiers in July this year, highlighted the importance of maintaining our infrastructure asset base. This is something we should focus on in our oversight work so that we build greater consciousness at local level on the importance of fixing broken infrastructure and, more importantly, maintaining them so that they do not break. Honorable members, as highlighted by the Minister of Finance in his medium-term budget policy statement yesterday. The economy is facing new global headwinds as a result of slowing growth in China and still sluggish in growth in other developed economies. As members of parliament, we should support all efforts that are aimed at ensuring that infrastructure development is funded and its financing is not cut back. We now need to engage every province, metros, and indeed local municipalities to check that they are shifting more resources into infrastructure. This is the role that the NCOP can master the most. The National Development Plan sets an ambitious target for...
Please round up.
Two things I want to deal with in conclusion, Honorable Chair. How public infrastructure addresses triple challenge. Just to educate a little bit to Honorable Julius. Firstly, the increase in government expenditure to the cost of billions of rand stimulates demand for goods. Stimulate demands for goods, labor, and services required for construction and maintenance. It is indeed government infrastructure investment that has been a bulwark of South Africa economy over the past 7 years since global financial crisis. Without expansion in government investment, our modest growth would have been weaker. And the second critical important point is that the effect of public infrastructure investment on countries' medium to long-term growth prospects. Adequate public infrastructure investment can put the country on a higher growth path. Investment in public infrastructure increases South Africa's competitiveness.
Your time has expired, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. The Honorable Deputy Minister.
Honorable Chair, sorry.
Honorable Esak.
I apologize profusely, Honorable Chair, but please, with your permission, Honorable Chair, you promised, and Mr. Mohai promised that he would take our question. Please call him back to the podium, please, Madam Chair, because I must ask him this question in the House. Please,
You
Madam
can
Chair.
ask him, his time is expired.
Honorable Chair, but he assured us that...
Thank
he'll give
you,
us a
Honorable
chance.
Esak. His time expired, and now I have the Deputy
All right,
Minister
perhaps
on the
next
podium.
time round, Honorable Chair.
Next time. Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. And let me appreciate the inputs that have been made by the honorable members here as they participate in this important debate. Let me indicate, Chairperson, that the report that is being debated here in this House today is indeed taken seriously by government, and all departments will have it and will see what to do about it. In fact, we'll implement some of the resolutions or take note of some of the resolutions. Honorable Chairperson, in closing of the National Consultative Conference in Kabwe, Zambia in 1985, the former president of the African National Congress, Oliver Reginald Tambo, said, and I just want to quote, "Working together as fellow South Africans, we have it within our power to transform this country into the land of plenty for all, where the nightmare of apartheid will just be a faint memory of the past," and close quote. Chairperson, Honorable Julius asked a very important question. What do the ANC do to reverse the imbalances of the past? And standing here, I highlighted quite a number of things that the Department of Transport is doing. Within 20 minutes, I could not cover anything. But I just want to mention just other things that we're doing as government. Last year, on the 15th of October, the President launched Operation Pakisa that focused on oceans economy. And let me just say this, said that on the eve of our democracy, some people here in South Africa that are never mentioned by names sold all our ships that we had on the register of South Africa, so that the government that came into power would therefore find a South Africa that does not have ships that are flying the South Africa's flag. But through the oceans economy, we've been able to identify 5 priorities. 1, maritime transport and manufacturing, of which we have identified 18 projects that are clear. and those projects we have said which ones are for maintenance and refurbishment and which ones are new. And those that are for maintenance and refurbishment, we can tell here that they have budget and we are actually doing exactly what we're supposed to do as government. But also those that are new, we know those that have budget and therefore needs partnership with private sector and investors, and we have identified them. But also we have said there is oil and gas exploration, and we're already moving in that regard. We have moved manganese from Mossel Bay, in fact, Saldanha Bay to the port of Ngquqa, and from PE to the port of Ngquqa, because we want to create a space for the exploration of oil and gas in BEST 205 and BEST 204. And also, I must mention, Chairperson, that in this regard, we are doing a lot in addressing the skills shortage that we have in maritime sector. And we already have an MOU with the University of Malmö in Sweden. We're sending students there. He's asked the question, I'm responding to the question. So we're doing so much as the department, in fact, as government. We also are looking in aquaculture. We already have established market for that, and we're continuing to do that. Oceans of Governments is talking, we're dealing with issues of maritime tourism, and that is what the government is doing. And Chairperson, I must report here today, probably as indeed correctly put, the legacy of President Zuma, that for the first time, we have ships on our register. Chairperson, there is a ship that is sailing, that is flying South Africa's
Deputy
flag.
Minister, there is an honourable member on the floor. Please take your seat a while, ma'am. Deputy Minister, please take your seat. Honourable Essa?
Honourable Chair, no, I don't mean to disturb the Speaker. I just want a point of correction through you. It's not sheeps, it's sheep. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for the English.
Thank you very much. It's ship, say you correct, or a vessel. Thank you very much for the correction. The point I'm trying to make is that we now have ship that is flying the South Africa's flag. And we're able then to say to the ship, to the owners of the ship, you are going to employ South Africa's seafarers. And therefore, as a country, we can now produce seafarers that will actually be absorbed by a ship or vessels that are carrying, that are flying the South Africa's flag. We are able to say to the vessels, you are going to be repaired in South Africa, you're going to buy food in South Africa. We are doing it, it's happening here in South Africa, Siyakuba, and we're moving South Africa forward. Chairperson, it has been a tragedy that would have 200, in fact, about 13,000 ships coming to our ports and all of them flying flags for other countries. Now we have ships that are flying our flags. We now have two for that matter. The first one that we registered, we took six weeks to register it. The second one, we took 6 days, and we're going to be registering others, I think 6 before the end of this end of this year. And we will celebrate when we have about 50 of those ships that are flying the South Africa's flag.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time has expired.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Siyakuba.
Honourable members, that concludes the debate. I shall now put the question. And the question is that this report be agreed to. In accordance to Rule 71, I shall first allow provinces the opportunity to make their declarations if they so wish. Are there provinces which wish to make declarations? None. There being no province wishing to make a declaration, I shall proceed to ask provinces to vote on the reports. We shall proceed to vote on the questions, honourable members. You will vote in favor, against, or abstain. I now call upon the provinces in this order: the Eastern Cape,
Eastern Cape votes in favor, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, sir. The Free State. The Free State?
They voted in favor.
Thank you, dear. Gauteng.
Gauteng voted in favor.
Thank you, ma'am. KwaZulu-Natal.
KwaZulu-Natal votes in favor, Chairperson.
Thank you, ma'am. Limpopo.
Oli amogela le thega ka matsogo a mabedi modulasetulo.
Re a leboga, mme. Mpumalanga.
Impumalanga yesekela sihlalo.
Thank you, ma'am. Northern Cape.
Northern Cape votes in favor, Chair.
Thank you, Northwest.
It's in favor.
Re a leboga, the Western Cape.
The Western Cape is in favor.
Thank you, ma'am. All heads of delegations have voted. There is no dissent. Therefore, members, Western Cape, Northwest, and Limpopo. I am advised that you have to vote manually as well as orally. Either way, we have had the whole House agreeing to the report, and therefore the report is carried. And this is in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable members, I just want to remind you why we are debating this report. It is important for the NCOP to debate the provincial report, the constituency reports, the local government week reports, simply because we do take time off from Cape Town and we go into the provinces. But also because we have, on numerous occasions, brought together the provinces and SALGA into the planning of these programs. It is also important, and it was very interesting to listen to, especially the special delegates. We invite special delegates because, especially on the provincial week, on the local government week, usually the matters that obtain from the ground are matters which sometimes fall squarely on the local government and or on the provincial spheres. There are matters which fall on the national government, which then the committees here can take directly with the national departments and ministers. I hope that in the future we will have the special delegates responding to the reports. In other words, we do not expect provinces to come and narrate our own report to ourselves. We expect either the chairpersons, the whips, the MECs to come here and say, these are the matters which you raised when you were in the province. This is how we have dealt with them. This is how we intend to deal with them. We also expect, Deputy Minister, that the recommendations of this House will all be given the same attention. We also want to say that inviting provinces is expenditure. Going to provinces is expenditure, and the NCOP is beginning to say that we need to be doing things a little bit more economically, but also to follow up on every cent that we spend. I want to say that I do agree with the members who say that infrastructure is important, but also agree with the points made by Ntate Geila. He says that, and it is a point which some provinces, used to make when some of us were leading them, that there is a need for standards when it comes to infrastructure across the provinces. That perhaps as the NCOP, we need to begin to ask our questions. Whether if you are going to level the playing fields for the previously disadvantaged, you really want to follow the run to follow the number. In other words, the bigger provinces still get the bigger allocations and the smaller provinces stay always behind because the money is allocated to them. Do not enable them to catch up on issues of infrastructure. And that point, I think, is the point that Ntate Khile was making. And that point we have raised numerous times. And that is the point which I think Umpako we are giving to you, Deputy Minister. I wish to thank you very much for this debate. But I also wish to say that we have two other announcements. We welcomed 2 members. We sadly must say that we have lost a member because we have received a resignation from the Honorable Masango. She will not be lost to Parliament. She will just be lost to the House, and we wish her well. My second one is to say welcome to Honorable Tlake. She was sick for a while. She had to undergo a very serious operation. I honestly was not expecting her to be back before the end of this year. Well, welcome back, ma'am. Honorable members, this concludes the business of the day. You are requested to remain standing until the procession has left and this House is adjourned.